It's your boy GT with the Vibe Podcast coming at you with another episode today. Today's episode is entitled Sign. We're going to do 11 signs that you're in a toxic relationship. This one's more so for the fellas. Ladies had their shot last week. We got to see what women wanted in a man. Got some feedback. We will definitely go over that this week from the fellas. They spoke out. They came up. They stood up. I appreciate you guys for that. We take all the feedback that we can possibly get on the Vibe Podcast here. We're going to keep it real. We're going to tell it like it is. And just because some of y'all are simps out there or think y'all know what a simp is or call people simps, if you call somebody a simp, you're probably a simp yourself. That's all I'm going to say to that. But we're going to get started. So the slogan of this podcast is going to be, your partner is supposed to be your biggest cheerleader and a soft place to land. Your biggest cheerleader and a soft place to land. So what does it mean for your partner to be your biggest cheerleader? They give you a high level of support. Well, number one, they have your back. Number two, which is huge. You don't want a partner that will talk down to you, talk mess on you, all that kind of jazz. Those are signs of disrespect in a relationship. And I think that those are things that people don't really talk about as much as they probably should. It's the small things that add up to become big things. You know, people focus on big things and they're like, well, you don't do these big three. Well, talking down to your partner is a sign of disrespect. Being a smart ass to your partner is a sign of disrespect. I mean, those are the things in communication that give off the vibe of being disrespectful to your partner. So that's number one. The number one thing, your partner isn't your biggest cheerleader. So you think about it like this: is your partner your biggest critic? Is it the biggest critic that you have in your relationship is your partner? If that is so, then you probably are edging on the line of starting to become having a toxic relationship. Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to build each other up, not tear each other down. And I think that happens in a lot of relationships when you start to focus on the other person and not focus on yourself. And that's something that people that are married for a long period of time will tell you that they focus on themselves. They took care of what they needed to take care of inside themselves to make the relationship better for both people. It's not just a singular thing. Oh, I'm going to make it better for me. It's I'm going to do these things so I can make the relationship better for my partner as well. Number two, you fight all the time. And you guys finding yourselves in heated arguments constantly. You can't really communicate, and you can't really have conversations about the hard stuff. So always ends in a fight, or somebody gets upset, somebody gets defensive, and then the smart aleck comments come out and talking down on each other, and it becomes personal. You start taking it personal. In those type of situations where you fight a lot like that and you can't really talk about the things that are important, you have two people that lack emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is having the ability to set your emotions aside for the better good, right? For more logic to come in. If you can't allow logic in on your decisions and some of the things that you're doing, you're just emotion filled and everything's based on emotion. Guess what? You're going to have a rough life and you're going to be exhausted. Number three, a complete lack of trust. If your partner completely lacks trust in you, or you completely lack trust in your partner, probably going to be a sign that the relationship is over. They say trust is the foundation of a relationship. I disagree. I think that there are other things that go into it. But I think that that's definitely one of the foundational pieces of a relationship is trust. If you don't have none of that, then it's kind of hard to love somebody. I don't believe that you can love somebody and not trust them at the same time. I don't think you can put the two together. It kind of goes along the lines with the respect and love going together. There are certain things that you got to have the pieces to, in order for you to have the other one. You have to have both pieces, right? So complete lack of trust, number three. Number four, constantly keeping score. You ever find yourself in a relationship or where your partner is constantly keeping score, you're keeping score? Oh man, he did this to me today, so tomorrow I'm going to bring up what they did to me yesterday, right? So you're keeping score. Oh, he did this 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to put this I'm not going to say nothing about it now. Put this in a back burner, and then whenever I get the opportunity to bring it up in a fight or something like that, I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to say something. And that's just somebody trying to manipulate a fight to get their way, right? So they bring up old stuff that, even if it's stuff that's hashed out and been done before, like you took care of this a long time ago, we're bringing this back up. We're going to argue about this today because you said something that I did wrong, so now I got to say something that you did wrong. And then it ends up being a cycle of continuing to say things that each other has done wrong. Not a lot of touch going on. They say, actually, a lot of studies have shown that touch is the foundation of connection. With when there is no touch, it's hard to connect, because I think that most women would say communication is the foundation of connection, but I disagree. Because you could communicate in so many ways. Like, to me, touch is a form of communication, action's a form of communication. But I think what happened to communication in society, even especially in the Western cultures, women have taken communication and made it something that they like and not something that it actually is. So now it's all about touchy-feely, emotional talk, all that jazz. There's more to communication than that. Men actually communicate more with action than women do. And so if you completely steer that into one direction, and you give it to the women, I'm like, well, he's not communicating with me, when he actually is communicating with you through his actions. Men are more likely to show love by doing things, so we'll do things for the woman we love. Women are more likely to say they love you. I mean, those are two forms of communication in a sense. One's just communicating through action, and the other's communicating through words. So one's a verb, and the other one's just a bunch of words that are being said. And I think women love words, and so they get hung up on words and less on the action. And men are the opposite. And I think that being a woman or being a man, you have to understand what how the other person is. You have to understand the other person's nature in the relationship in order for you to figure out the best way to communicate. But here, touch. If you stop touching your partner, a lot of people, they touch these things here, get touched a whole lot. Some people touch these more than they touch their partner. And if you're doing that, then you're in trouble. Your relationship is definitely in trouble. It's going downhill. Because like I've told you before in a prior podcast, this is a gateway that opens up many gateways into your relationship. Number 6, a fear of discussing issues. If you ever find yourself in a position with your partner where you're afraid to discuss the issues that are happening in the relationship, then you're headed down one of those paths that is less traveled, right? It's less traveled. And understand this: if you can't discuss hard things, you're not going to be discussing anything. There will just be quiet. So you got to think about it like this. You ever sat down with your partner and you guys are eating dinner and you guys don't say nothing to each other? You don't even talk to each other. You barely acknowledge each other. That, my friend, right there is a sign of an extremely toxic relationship. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong over the years, and you can be together. You can have a toxic relationship for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, 25 years. You can have a toxic relationship for a lifetime. Some people will marry somebody and go to the grave in a toxic relationship on just the merits of, I have to stay married, I have to stay in a relationship. Mainly men will do this because men see marriage as, the majority of men see marriage as a duty. So kind of like when you think about military, police, they have a duty to do certain things. And so men see marriage as a duty, whereas a lot of women that I've heard, that I've talked to, see it, it's financial. It's a financial investment. It's a business decision. And that's because divorce court has definitely sided with women and made it to where you can come into a relationship with nothing and leave with half of everything that man's got. So it's harder for a man to let go of a marriage than it is for a woman. A woman can just go let go of a marriage and she knows she's getting half. So if you know that you're getting half, then it's going to be easier for you to continue to do what you do, or to say, hey, I want to leave. Why do you think women are responsible for 70+% of the divorces? Because it's financially beneficial to women to divorce their husband. Oh, I'm not happy, so I'm going to divorce him, and then I can get half of what he got, and then I could just move on to the next guy and then just be happy there. And then they might divorce that person too. They'll get married, they divorce that person, and then, oh, I'm not happy with this guy, so then you divorce that person, you go on to the next one, and it's a cycle, continuous cycle. But it is very benefit. Marriage and divorce are both beneficial, more so to women than they are to men. When you get to a place where you'd rather be comfortable instead of solving relationship issues. So comfortability is a problem. If you just want to be comfortable and you just want to have a partner there while you're comforted, understand that one thing on this matter, one thing a buddy of mine told me, he said that you have to work on being able to be unhappily married or unhappily in a relationship, because if it's all about emotion and happiness, you're going to have a problem, because no one is going to be responsible for your happiness but yourself. You are responsible for your happiness. Number 8, one person matters in the relationship. So you get to a point where it becomes all about one person. This one person. So you got one partner. They want to do this. They want to do this. They want to do this. So you got to go do that. You feel like you don't have a say as a partner. Once you get to the point where you feel like you don't have a say as a partner, you're in bad shape. That's definitely not a good place to be. Because then it's like a teeter-totter effect of one person feels superior to the other. And when you start to feel like you're superior to the other, or you start to look down on your partner, first of all, you lose attraction to your partner. Second of all, you put your partner in a place where they can't really do anything right. This is where people, when one person matters, it feels like one person's like, man, I can't do nothing right. No matter what I do, it's always they're always asking for more. Females tend to move the goalpost. I know I've said that before in a prior podcast. They'll be like, well, I need you to do this, and this, and then they won't do anything. They won't change anything. They will stay the same, but they want you to change. And then when you shift over this way, the goalpost doesn't move a little bit more. So you have to realize you're not playing football on a 100-yard field. You're playing on a field that is forever changing. And that's for my men out there. You guys are playing on a field that's forever changing. And when you find somebody like that, you have to be careful, because you will change into something that you're not. And then you will lose yourself completely in the relationship, because you keep moving and trying to adjust and make things happy, because the common theme out here is happy wife, happy life, which I think is a load of crap. Dumbest crap I've ever heard in my entire life, or happy spouse, happy house, or whatever. People subscribe to that mindset. So what that basically says is that one person matters in the relationship, right? That's the mindset of Western culture. That's the mindset of Western relationships. That's the problem. That's the reason why our divorce rate is higher than everybody. I mean, if you look at other countries, they don't have a divorce rate quite like ours. Our divorce rate is out of whack. It's out of control. And that's why, because we subscribe to a culture where one person matters. The other person just has to do what that person does, or push that person, make that person happy. And I think that as a gynocentric culture in the Midwest, and that goes into churches, that goes into the courts, divorce court, family law court, gynocentric. I mean, I know they say, well, it's 50-50, yada, 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 but it is more, it is the basis of some of these family courts is the mom is more important than the dad. When actually in society, and it's biblical, that is actually not correct. But we follow that culture here, because that's what the Midwest has come to, especially in America. We've come to that culture where it's like, if you don't make your woman happy, she can leave, and then she'll go find somebody else, and she'll take half what you got. She'll take the kids from you. So she got half of what you got. She got the kids. Then she go find somebody else, right? And then you're left here to pick up the pieces and try to build on half. So you basically go backwards. So that's the reason why men don't even want to get married. I wouldn't want to get married if I knew going in, okay, I'm going to lose half of everything. I probably lose custody of the kids. What's the point in being married then? What is the benefit to men to be married when it's like this? And then on top of that, so that's the end goal. That's the end game, right? On top of that, it's happy wife, happy life is the culture. And you have to make a woman happy in order for them to stick around with you. Whereas men seem to not really matter as much in the culture down here in America as it used to be. And then American women are left single, or there's fatherless homes, or there's or they get a man and they don't like him, so they just keep moving on to the next, to the next, to the next, or they keep a bunch of men around, or they tend to sabotage themselves. Those are all issues that happen because of Western culture. Number 9, you feel like you can't do anything right. It goes along with number 1. If one person feels superior to the other, you will feel like you can't do anything right. You will change anything under the sun, but that person will not change anything. Understand this. If a person knows their problems and their issues in your relationship and they don't want to change, it's because they don't want to change. You can't sit around and expect somebody who doesn't want to change, right? And so you feel like you can't do anything right. Always, you're busting your butt handling business, but it's never good enough, right? Goalpost pushers. That's what I call them, goalpost pushers. These are people that will move the goalpost consistently. You will think you got to the end zone. You're right, spiking the ball, scored a touchdown. You look up, they're like, nah, you're on 10-yard line. And you're like, what? I swear I just did everything up the list. I pulled the list out, check down. Nothing. 10. A complete lack of interest. Like I said earlier, sitting at a dinner table with your partner and you guys can't even have a conversation. Taking them out. Say you go out in public and you don't hold hands. You don't touch each other at all. Just not a lot of physical contact, or the physical contact is awkward, right? At this point in the relationship, if the physical contact is awkward, that is when you know that you're going down a path of toxicity that is hard to come back from. So, complete lack of interest. So, think about it like this. No shared hobbies, right? Lack of affection and humor, active interest, excitement, or joy. So, you feel like your partner has taken the joy out of the relationship, no excitement, no humor. You can't even joke around. When you get to that point of toxicity, it is out of control. That's unhealthy. Those are unhealthy levels of toxicity. You quit sharing your inner world. So your inner world becomes your world. So you have two separate worlds. So now you get two separate worlds in a relationship. Two people in a relationship that aren't sharing anything with each other, right? That is when you have that complete lack of interest. And when you get to this point right here, this is like the finish line toward a split. You get here, you were in trouble. Number 11, when you get to 10 and then you move, 10 usually moves you into 11. Zero motivation to make any of it better. Comfortable. Allowing yourself to bask in the glory of comfort that you have, so that way you don't have to change anything at all. So you stay in this comfortable position and in comfort, and you say, I'm just going to stay here. I don't need to work on anything. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. That's not going to fix a relationship, guys. But those are the 11 things that tell you that you're in a toxic relationship. Some huge ones, some big ones in there. Some of you guys are probably dealing with some of these things. Some of you guys may have everything on the list is going on in the relationship. That's possible. And when you get to that point, you both dig your feet in and you decide, I'm not budging. I'm stuck right here. I'm going to do whatever I'm doing right here, stand in the middle, and I'm not going anywhere. That usually signals the end of a relationship. Usually signals the end of the relationship. 3 ways to fix some of these issues. Let's talk about them. Number 1, accountability. You have to take accountability for how you've acted in a relationship, things that you've done in a relationship, and issues that you've had in a relationship. So if you have done certain things in a relationship, you have to take responsibility for those things that you did. What do I mean by take responsibility? 1, apologize. Mean it. 2, make change. Do something different. You can't apologize for something and then keep doing it. Let's say you go into a store and you steal an Xbox. You're like, I'm sorry. And you go back the next week, you get in trouble again, you steal another Xbox. Oh, I'm sorry. You go back again, you steal another Xbox. Oh, I'm sorry. You might as well you basically just gonna apologize before you go in there because you know you're gonna do it anyway. People like that won't change, that can't change. It's incumbent upon people to take responsibility for themselves. Typically, when somebody lacks accountability and responsibility for their own actions, they won't change their actions because they're blaming you for their actions. They may not say it. They may not come out with it straight up and say, yeah, I'm blaming you for my actions. No, they won't say that to you. They will give you some run around beef jerky, beat around the bush type of stuff. And there's always an excuse. People that don't take accountability will always make an excuse for why they can't take accountability or why they're still working on taking accountability. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to take accountability. The first step is accepting what is. You accept what is, and then you can change what was. Hear that again. You accept what is, and then you can change what was. You can put that in the past now. Now it's a was, not a is, not a current. 2, understanding. You have to understand your partner. If you don't understand your partner, you're not gonna be able to get anywhere. Take time to understand. Take time to talk to them and understand what they're going through. Discipline. The third one is discipline. You have to have discipline to get there. A lot of places will motivate you and give you motivation, but without discipline and so once you take accountability and you get understanding, then it's discipline to hold yourself accountable to those things. You keep pushing, you keep making a way, and then you will eventually get to the finish line. You'll eventually get there and fix some of these problems. All right. This is GT again with the Vibe Podcast. I'm out.